Hi there, it's David Young, the Resourceful Coach, and what we're going to look at today is a sort of a mental thing I want you to work on. We're going to use data. We're going to call this Moneyball golf. Now, why are we calling it that? Well, hopefully some of you have watched the film Moneyball, which is a film all about baseball, but it's sort of using the understanding of an idea that came along, which was using data to understand performance. And what we've seen in this country, we've seen a lot of football teams that have sort of taken this idea on board, who are sort of okay teams, but have brought players in that will fit and do a job, and end up now they're in our Premiership League, the top league in the country, and teams that you wouldn't think about probably 10, 15 years ago they would ever get there. We're going to use that idea in golf. And through my videos, we've done a series of videos called the 12 Shots of Golf, and it's working around data, understanding what you need to do for your level. Now, when we talk about those other sports and we talk about the Moneyball film, which I think was the Oakland Athletics, you're talking elite sportsmen. We're not. Majority of us are not at that level. So we need to know what we need to do for our level. So the idea is I've created this data that will work for all levels, understanding for your level of play what you should achieve. And if you do it consistently, you will play to that level. And what I've found, the feedback from you as the guys watching the channel, and ladies as well, is that you've seen a dramatic improvement. Some people have dropped 6 to 8 shots. They haven't changed their technique, they've just changed their mindset, and it's made such a difference. And again, if you haven't seen the film, go and watch it, because you'll see the old school scouts who don't want to do this idea, but the manager of the club, who's played by Brad Pitt, he makes the decision that I believe this is right. And it took a while to get going, but once it did, wow, what a difference it made. And they went on the longest winning streak in the history of baseball at that time. And a lot of the clubs have now taken it on board and gone on and won World Series. So how can we develop that into your golf? So I'm going to play 2 holes. I'm going to play it as a scratch golfer. We're going to give you data for that, but I'm also going to give you data for wherever I end up on the hole, what would be good for somebody shooting 80 or 90. So we're looking at players around about par, player around about high single figures, and a player around about bogey golf. So here we are, we're on the 17th hole. We're going to play the 17th and 18th here at Corinthians. 17th hole here is a 201 yard par 3. So let's look at the starting data. Let's look at those 3 levels. Let's look at an 18 handicap golfer. On average, on a 200 yard hole, they will take 3.9 shots. That means on average, they are going to bogey this hole 90% of the time and par it 10% of the time. Our player shooting closer to 80, it's a 3.6 hole. This is a hole they will par on average about 40% of the time, but still bogey it 60% of the time. And even for me as a scratch golfer, I will bogey this hole. This is a 3.3 hole. I will bogey it on average 30% of the time and only par it 70% of the time. So straight away, that's a starting point. Anywhere you are on the golf course, 200 yards away, look at those 3 bits of data and understand for your level, that's what you need to do. And you can take that idea. It's very similar off the fairway. It goes up about 0.1 off the fairway compared to off a tee box. Now, mentally, what that says to me, if I'm a 3.3 shooter on this hole, then I don't need to hit that green. But actually, what is a par shot? And that's what we're going to look at. So a par shot for me would be anywhere on that green, 50 feet from the hole. Even as a scratch golfer, I don't need to stick this 10 foot from the hole. Anywhere on that green, I should be happy, because the chances are, looking at that flag, it's pretty central to the green. I'm not going to be 60, 70 feet away somewhere on the green, but 50 feet would be good. I know deep down inside, I've hit a 200 yard shot probably to within 5 feet. And that's what I'm mentally going to set up to do. But in the back of my mind, I'm okay to be 50 feet. Anywhere on that green, I'm going to be happy. But let's just put it in perspective. We did a video before, which was called the 90% rule, which was if you're playing single figure golf, you should get rid of about 90% of the distance. So anybody playing around about 80, okay, shooting 80, you want to be within 20 yards of the green. And for our player shooting bogey golf, you can nearly double that. You're looking around about 35 yards from the green. If you do that, you're still doing what you need to do. Data-wise, you're still on par to get your score, whether it's 3.3 for me, 3.6 for the 80 golfer, 3.9 for the bogey golfer. All right, but let's play the hole. Let's play it as we do. As I said, mentally, I'd love to stick this 10 feet, 5 feet or so from the flag. okay? But I know deep down, to play to my level, I can be within 50 feet, and if I'm a little bit outside that, that should still be okay. So here we go. Let's go through the routine. So I've visualized the shot. I've got a hybrid here for 200 yards. Check that I'm happy where I'm aiming. Once I'm happy, make the swing, see what we get. So it's going towards the left edge of the green. Okay, a little draw on that, running down. I would think I might just pick up the left edge of the green. If I'm not, I'm just on the edge. So I'd say that's pretty much bang on a par shot. It should be around about that 50 feet away from the hole, but can't see that from here. We're 200 yards away. Let's go down, have a look, and then we'll go through what we're looking at from that position, on average what we would do from there. So we've come up onto the green. You can see my ball over the other side. We're going to go through my sort of green reading method, but we're going to give you the data to what we've got. So 50 feet was my par shot, okay? So 50 feet, roughly 2.5 feet is sort of my paces. It'll be about 20 paces from the hole. So let's go through my green reading method and then we'll pace that out. So just to help you a little bit with the technique, I just come to the hole and I look at where the low point is, which I think the low point is running down here. And then relative to where I am, how much it's going to break from there. And I'm at the maximum break. This is quite a flattish green. It's probably not even average. It'll be a little bit below average. So around about 1.5, what I'd call on the slopes. So percentage of slope. So whatever amount of paces I now pace out, I'm going to times by 1.5. And that's going to be my amount of break. I might reduce it slightly because it's a damp morning here. It might not turn as much, but let's pace it out because we're looking at our data first. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 paces. So 16 is around about 40 feet. And we wanted to be 50 feet away. So we've gained about 0.1 of a shot, but we're still, remember on the tee, it was a 30% chance we were going to bogey it. It's now a 20% chance. 16 paces times 1.5 is around about 24 inches. So I need to aim about 2 feet left of the hole. Now, what would be a par shot for me from here? Well, as I said, if I can get this within a distance where I would, on average, take 1.2 putts, well, you're looking around about 4 feet. So again, reducing this by a good 90% plus the distance. So I'm only going to be around about 10% of the distance away. So now that's the goal. That's what we're looking to do. Let's see if we can do it. So we're slightly ahead of the game with the tee shot. But even from here, 1 in 5, I will 3-putt this. And that's actually something that takes the pressure off me because I realise I don't have to 2-putt it every time. Should be 80% of the time, but let's see what we get. Started it out there. Well, as I said, a little bit wet green. Hasn't broken as I thought. But what do we say would be a par shot? We said around about 4 feet. Well, my putter's 3 feet. We've come down to here, okay, and we're now sitting in a situation where I am around about 4.5 feet away from the hole. Okay, because it's wet, I'm just going to give that ball a little bit of a clean. See what we get from there. Okay, I'm going to leave the flag in, and it should again just break from left lip. But again, people get this thing, oh, pro golfers should hold this every time. This is still a 1 in 5 chance I'm going to miss this. Okay, on this occasion, oh, just dropped in the back edge. We got our par, we got the result we wanted. So I know you're going to look at the data and think, well, as a pro golfer, you should par that hole, but it's a long par 3. So what you've got to realise, probably near a 160 would be an average par for me as a professional golfer, but 200 yards, we're going up to a 3.3 hole. Okay, we're now going to go and play the 18th, which is a par 4. We'll go through the data for all levels. We'll play it, show you what we're doing, but we're keeping that mindset around what we need to do for our level to keep us calm, focused, and on playing the next shot. So here's our second challenge. We're playing the 18th hole at Corinthians. It's a 331 yard par 4, and let's just go through that data. So as a scratch golfer, we're looking, this is pretty much bang on a par 4. Okay, if we're looking to shoot around about single figures, so around about 7, 8, 9 over, this becomes a 4.4 hole. So just understand what we mean by that. It's a 40% chance you're going to bogey it, 60% chance you're going to par it. For our bogey golfer, again, because it's not a long par 4, we are looking at around about a 4.9 hole. So a little bit like the par 3 before, there's a 10% chance of parring this hole, but 90% of the time you are going to bogey this hole. So that just gives you the data, then it's understanding what we're looking to do. Now, I'm going to look at this slightly differently, the data here. So because this is exactly a par 4 for me, I'm going to look at where I need to be after 2 shots. So what would be an average 2 putt for a scratch golfer would be around about 25 feet. So if I can get this ball within 25 feet after 2 shots, that's going to be my goal, regardless of how the tee shot goes. If it's perfect, great, makes the second shot easy. If it's not so good, we'll assess the situation, but can I get that ball within 25 feet? That would be really good. So that's another way you can look at the data. So even going back to that par 3 previously, if you are that player playing bogey golf, 20 feet is your average 2 putt. So you can actually look at both of these holes and think, can I be within 20 feet putting for par? And if I 2 putt it, I've got my bogey. And as we said, 90% of the time you should bogey these holes. So the data is so important, because straight away, I don't feel any stress. I don't stand here thinking, oh, I've got to make birdie, I've got to do... It's a short par 4 relatively, but it plays uphill. There's a severe slope. It's not the easiest hole. Hopefully you can see on the camera there, we've got this hedge running down the left side. The fairway runs that way. It's actually a very tough last hole. And in the summer, when the ground is really hard, it's very difficult, unless you are a natural drawer of the ball, to keep this ball on the fairway. So only because it's 330 yards, that's always what my data works around, the distance, but actually probably plays a little bit harder than that because it's uphill and the sloping fairway. But let's play it. As I said, I'm mentally thinking to myself, the goal is I want to be within 25 feet after 2 shots. What would be a par shot from here if I can get this up the fairway? Doesn't sound like a big tee shot here, but anything around about 100 yards from the green, so I'm only looking at a tee shot of about 230, would be on par to what I want to do. From that distance, on average, I'd get it about 25 feet away. So it just puts in perspective what you're doing. And again, it's just knowing what you need to do. So it's not, I'm never standing here and saying to my golfers, look, you need to boom it 300 yards. A lot of the time, it's around that 180 to 250, depending on your level. Okay, so I'm going to play this. I hit a little draw anyway, naturally, so I'm going to aim middle of the fairway, draw it up the left side, and then hope the fairway does what it does. Well, I can't hit a better drive. It's now whether the ground's friendly to me. It looks like it's bouncing reasonably straight. And when we get up there, let's see what we've done. Have we created I'm going to call it a par shot, because it's on level with what I want to do, staying to my level. And if I do that, that's what I'm after. I'm maintaining the level. Actually, let's call it that, a maintainer. I'm maintaining my level. Have I done that with that shot? And does it give me the opportunity to get it 25 feet away? As we said on the last tee, when I'm playing into, I want to get it closer because I know I can, but I'm not going to beat myself up if I don't do it. So as I said on the tee box, really happy with the shot. Drew it into the slope. It's come down into reasonably the middle of the fairway. We've got 104 yards to go. It's pretty much a maintaining shot. It's exactly what I do. I'm maintaining my level. Again, it just keeps me calm. It's why the data is so important, because if you can understand what you need to do, don't keep looking for perfect shots. Okay, I think Jack Nicklaus's phrase was, if I had one perfect shot in a round of golf, I've had a great day. To get everything exactly right doesn't happen. But if you're close to what you need to do, that's the key thing. And if you want some more of this data, please go and look at my 12 shots of golf. If you want to contact me regarding getting the data from me, that's something people have been asking. Quite happy to do that, but just contact me and we can work out how we can get that sent to you. So it's really important that we're seeing how your golf will improve. So 104 yards, but again, still mentally, I know, and I'm going to look at 2 things here. The best shot I've ever hit from 104 yards, probably a foot from the hole. So I know deep down that's what I want to do, but I know the goal we had on the tee, 25 feet away, and I'm pretty much maintaining that level. So anywhere in that area, we're very happy. So you're setting up with the intention to play, obviously, the ultimate shot. So 104 yards. So get the feeling in your hands, what you're going to do. I'm actually playing, it's quite a chilly sort of early spring day here in the UK. I'm actually just going to play a little soft 9-iron up there. So again, not looking to hit it hard. Soft 9-iron, that will get there comfortably. Normally I'd be hitting a wedge. Let's see what we get. A little left of the flag, but that's always the safe side. Yeah, we're on the green. And I would say I'm probably going to be, again, maintaining that level around about that 25 feet, 20-25 feet. That would be good. All right, let's just get that divot. Look after your golf course. Really important. Get your divots, repair your pitch marks, look after the course. It's something really passionate about. I want to walk onto a golf course in good condition. There's a lot of you guys out there, reasonably new golfers, maybe not been told how to do this, the etiquette, but please look after those two things. Replace those divots like I've done, repair those pitch marks, and the course will be in lovely condition. But let's go and see where we've ended up. So we've come up onto the green. What were we looking for? We're looking for around about that 25 feet. Let's pace it out, see what we've got, and then we'll go through a little bit of green reading to understand what to do. So let's see what we've got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 paces from the hole. Okay, I'm just going to give that a mark, give that a clean while I go through. So we look for 25 feet. Roughly my paces are about 2.5 feet. So we're looking about 22.5 feet. So we're pretty much where we want to be. And on average, I'm going to 2-putt from there as a scratch golfer. So we've done what we set out to do. Okay. Now we're just going to do a little bit of green reading. So how do I read a green? Well, I always go to the hole and I look at the hole and I imagine if I start filling the hole up with water, where would the water run? Okay, and I'm going to use the flag to demonstrate that. So I believe it's going to run down this way from there. Okay, let's just bring that way a little bit, get it out of the way when I do the putt. So if this is 6 o'clock, this will be a straight uphill putt. My ball is over there, not quite the maximum break. And what that would be is, if we look at it, we've got 9 paces and we're on about a 3% slope. So the maximum break would be 27 inches of break. Okay, so if the green is consistent, that's how much it would break at its maximum break. It can't break any more than that, so it's going to be somewhere between 0 at 6 o'clock, or if we're at 9 o'clock, it would be 27 inches of break. Please go and watch my green reading video, because that will show you a little bit more how to go through that, and it gives you a chart to show you the next bit we're going to talk about. Now my ball is around about 8 o'clock on that clock face, which means it's going to break about 75% of the 27 inches. So it's going to break about 20 inches. That's the goal. So 20 inches would be approximately about 5 hole widths out here. And that's now what I'm going to do. Now, I'm going to learn a little bit from the last hole. It didn't break as much. Why? As we said, it's a sort of a spring morning. It's a little bit damp. So I'm going to just reduce that slightly. I'm actually going to reduce it by about another quarter. So I'm going to aim about 15 inches, about 4 hole widths. That's going to be my goal. Let's see if we can get the 2 putts that what we've done so far to maintain our level. And again, through experience, playing to my level, I know on average I will 2-putt from this. I'm not going to hold this very often. So picturing my spot, 4 ball widths out there because of the slope, should run towards the flag. Have a little practice swing to feel what you're doing, and then commit to that idea. Let's see what we can get. Nicely struck putts on line. Okay, well, I'll take that. I'm within a foot, which is on average what I would do from that distance. As long as I concentrate, shouldn't be able to knock that straight in the back of the hole, which we have, and we've got our 4. So if we look back at the 2 holes, the challenge of what we've done, it's using this data idea. And for me, I wish I'd had this when I was playing sort of my early professional career and wanted to be a player, because it would have taken so much pressure off me. That was the key thing. And then you start to look at holes and think, okay, at my level, what do I need to achieve? That was the thing. So the 2 holes we played, the 200-yard par 3, it's a 3.3 hole for me. It's a 3.6 hole for you playing around about 80 shots. And if you're shooting 90, we're getting up to 3.9. So understand, as your handicap gets above, really, I mean, I'd say probably 5 handicap, a 200-yard hole, you are going to bogey that more than you're ever going to par it. So take the pressure off yourself. That's the big thing. We came to the second hole, the par 4. It's only 330 yards. It's pretty much a bang-on par 4 for a scratch golfer. And then we're looking a little bit of an increase. So we get up to our bogey golfer. He's nearly averaging 5, 4.9. And and we're looking around about 4.5, 4.4 for that player shooting par. So shooting single figure golf. And realize what you need to do for your level. But as I said, I changed that mindset there. I sometimes look at that on par 4s because you can take a little bit of risk reward thinking if I can get it, as long as I'm within 20, 25 feet, I should 2-putt it after 2 shots and get my 4. But sometimes on a hole like this, if it's short and it's a bit more open, you might take the risk of taking a bigger club and trying to knock it further up the fairway and get a bit closer and give yourself that little bit of a chance. But realize you don't have to. If I make 18 pars, I'm very, very happy. I've shot level par. I will take that. I would just like to give myself the opportunity to make some birdies. And this pressure-free way of playing golf, I would say I probably have 3 or 4 more birdie chances every round compared to what I was doing 10 years ago before I really started to develop this data. And I'm sure with the response that I've had from players like yourselves watching the videos, you've seen a dramatic improvement. I think the biggest difference is the guys around 16 handicap who you obviously can hit a golf ball are now playing closer to 10 handicap. They're the golfers that have made the biggest difference because they've realised they're not putting unnecessary pressure on themselves. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. It really is, for me, it's the key thing. I know if you take this on board, your mind will be in the right place. You will start to play better golf. If you have enjoyed it, please subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends, press that little bell for notifications, and I'll see you soon.